Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Jessie, and welcome back to another episode of Rewire to Inspire. The show where we'll dive into self-love, learn tangible ways to rewire the brain, and discovering your soul's purpose. The goal of Rewire to Inspire is to encourage listeners to begin doing the hard work, to get curious and open to maximizing your life. Our mindset shapes how we live. Depending on life events, traumas, and personal experiences, our mindsets are all vastly different. However, one thing we all have in common is the ability to rewire our mind, to change the narrative, and to pivot our lives. I hope you leave each episode with the belief that you are so worthy to live a life true to you. I look forward to chatting with you every single Tuesday and Thursday and helping you grow exponentially in all areas of your life. Without further ado, here's today's episode. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my podcast, Rewire to Inspire. I don't really know what that voice crack thing happened there when I started, so apologies about that. Hello, you guys. Welcome. I am so excited to jump into episode number 102 with you guys. This is going to be a weird adjustment saying 100 and something. It's going to be a little bit weird for a while, but nonetheless, I'm super, super excited to be here. I hope you guys enjoyed my latest episode, 101, Permission to Feel Sad. It was definitely a powerful one. We got into some woo-woo stuff. We got into our emotions, but also the main takeaway was just knowing that you're deserving to feel your emotions no matter what they are across the board. So if you haven't checked out that episode, I definitely encourage you to go check it out because it is definitely one of my favorites. But for today, for number 102, we are going to be chatting about, are you over or underdoing it? So I have a story for you guys, of course. So I was on my coaching call yesterday with my coach, Alan from Next Level University, and we were kind of brainstorming what my brand is. I have a business idea that I am excited to kind of put into motion. I'm not going to say what it is yet because it's not really in play yet. We're just behind the scenes. Anyways, we were figuring out what my brand is. We ended up going on my Instagram and we were like going through and seeing what my brand is and grabbing like labels of things. And we stumbled across this picture, and it's a side-by-side picture of me in 2017 and then me on this year on my 24th birthday. And the comparison between the two of them, he literally had to go, "Is that you in that picture?" And I was honestly mortified because every time I look at that picture, I'm like, oh no, like, oh, I just feel for her because in the picture, it is me sitting at a bar/restaurant. There is a bunch of like fast food in front of me. Mind you, I was not eating all of this. It was a table of 4 of us. I remember this day very clearly. And there was like a big bulldog drink in front of me, which if you don't know what that is, it's like a big fish bowl basically with another drink sticking on top of it. It was just absolute mayhem in this picture. Needless to say, I was roughly 50 pounds heavier. I had gotten to a point where I was almost 190 pounds, which is crazy because all through high school and all through the beginning of college, I was always around 130. And not to like share my weight for any reason other than to just give a comparison that I had lost myself. And I was in a very toxic relationship, headspace, phase of my life. I had just gotten out of my basketball phase, where if you don't know, was one of the hardest things that I have ever gone through. And I ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD a couple of years after that, of how much that actually really messed up my head and my body and took me into a lot of states. We're not going to get into that for right now, but because I will go down a rabbit hole. But I look at this picture and I'm like, oh my gosh, a couple things came up. I see her and I love her so much. And I'm so sorry she had to go through what she did to get to that point. I'm so proud of me now looking at the picture on the left and being like, wow, I'm so proud of you. Like, you've gotten out of toxic relationships and you've healed yourself. Well, we're never done healing, but you've healed yourself in a lot of ways. And, you're going after it and you're in healthier areas and making healthier choices. And I'm just so proud of you. But the thing that I seen the biggest when I looked at this side-by-side picture is one of them was overdoing it way too much with alcohol, with food, with funsies. And then the one on the left, I guess, anyways, depending how you look on it, the other one, me now, is kind of overdoing it in a lot of times in the work area, where now I'm so strict, where I don't have a lot of funsies time because I'm just so busy and mission driven of what it is that I'm playing for. I'm so passionate about my podcast and about being a coach and about being an entrepreneur and about doing all these things. And so I've kind of overswung the pendulum. And so what I want you guys to think of is, okay, picture in your mind right now, there is basically a path. And if you're watching video, you can kind of see more what I'm talking about, but there's a path and there's two sides of it. There's two lines and you're walking in the middle of that. And I want you to slowly walk towards like the right side of the path. So you start to walk towards it. And then eventually you kind of hit like a guardrail. You hit the wall there. And basically what that means is like pain. It's regret. We do something that doesn't really work for us. And so we swing the pendulum the other way and we go back and we start walking to the left side. And then we hit the pendulum. So we hit regret. We do something we don't like. And we kind of just keep teeter-tottering through life in this way of overswinging and underswinging the pendulum. You know, we overdo things, we underdo things. It's just like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This bed is too soft. This bed is too hard. This oatmeal's too hot. This oatmeal's too cold. Basically, all of our life is that. It's a constant too much, too little, too much, too little. And so when I look at this picture, I'm like, oh my gosh, the biggest difference is that one of them was way overdoing it in a toxic area. And this girl is way overdoing it in a different area, but can also be equally as detrimental. Both can be detrimental, but in their own unique ways. And so I have been feeling extremely burnt out lately, extremely, to the point where I lay there in the morning and I'm like, I can't wait to go to bed again. Once I get at it and I get in flow and I start working, like we're rocking, we're good, we're cranking. I love that I'm on here. I'm so excited to be chatting with you guys, of course. But there is a part of my brain that's like, Jessie, you are so burnt out. And so after this, I am taking the rest of the day to go be with my family in the woods. We're celebrating Family Day. I'm super excited. But there's still a part of me in my brain that's like, but you should be home and you should be working on something and you should be reading a book or you should be working out or you should be doing this, that, and the other thing. And I recognize that that's just kind of how my brain works. I am an overachiever and everything that I do full tilt, but that is both positive and negative. And so that is a great quality, but it was also a very toxic quality at one point in time in my life. And so my goal of today's episode is for you listening to sit there and go, am I under swinging the pendulum or am I over swinging it? Am I taking too much time for rest? Am I coming home from work and just sitting on the couch and watching Netflix and eating junk food and not going to the gym and not working on myself and not really going towards anything? Or in the vice versa of that, am I taking any time to rest and to fill my cup and to do things that I love and to tend to that part of me? Because the thing is we often have a relationship with either one of those, but it's so hard to find the harmony in the middle. And that is my goal of today and something that I am leaning more into because I know that A, I need to lead by example, but B, I am not going to be good for anybody. I would say in another month of operating at the same frequency, I would probably be sick. I would be in bed. I'd be bedridden and I would have no choice but to rest. Because the thing is our body will force us to rest if we don't cautiously take that time. And I realize that I'm kind of on the higher end where how I operate is probably more rare than most people. And most people are on the other side of that. And I don't say that with shame or with arrogance. I just know that based on what I've kind of seen, that is kind of true. But also knowing that being on that other end of the pendulum isn't serving you. It's bringing you nothing other than fulfillment. And we have to ask ourselves, is this bringing me pleasure or is this bringing me fulfillment? Because there is a big difference. Oftentimes when we do something for pleasure, in the moment it feels good, but after we regret it, right? Going out drinking all night, eating crappy food, not going to the gym. It feels good in the moment to do those things, but after we instantly always have regret. And when we have regret, guess what? We beat ourselves up. And when we beat ourselves up, our self-worth and our self-belief starts to depreciate. And when our self-worth starts to depreciate, we're not going to take action. And then when we don't take action, the cycle continues. And so I want you sitting there listening, going, what is my daily routine? What is it that I'm kind of sodding after? And I'm realizing that setting goals is actually very, very rare. To me, I've set goals since I was in middle school. I used to have goals of, after school, I want to accomplish this and this. And by the end of the school year, I want to do this, that, and the other thing, whether it be on this basketball team or I want to get an A in this class or whatever it is. I've just always had goals. So I don't really know what it's like to not operate out of that headspace. But I'm realizing that I need to come back and recognize that not everybody does, and that's okay. But I read a statistic the other day. I can't remember what it was, but I was blown away at how little amount of people, it was under 5% of people actually set goals and follow through with them, which blew my mind. Because if you don't have goals, of course you're going to underswing. Of course you're going to underdo it, because you're not going to have any reason or grit to get up and do something. If you think about it, like anytime you've had necessity to do something, whether it be, okay, great example, you have company coming over for dinner. You're likely going to make sure that that dinner is cooked and ready to go at a certain time, versus if you didn't have company over, you might just heat up a bag of Mr. Noodles, or just, do whatever. There's necessity. There's reason there to take action. It's the same when you're in high school or in college and a paper is due. You're likely going to work on that thing either ahead of time to get it done, or when there's enough necessity, oh shoot, it's due tomorrow, I need to grind this thing out. But the thing is that's often how we operate, right? We overdo it or we overdo it. Sorry, under or over. And my goal of today's episode is for you to contemplate, how much time are you spending overdoing it, and how much time are you spending underdoing it? Because the thing is again, they both have negatives to them. They both have negative consequences to both of them. And a lot of them are kind of similar. If you think about it, always tired, that is a side effect of both underdoing it and overdoing it. Because if you're underdoing it, meaning you're not feeling fulfillment, you're not in joy, you don't really have a lot of self-worth going on, you don't have a lot of fulfillment, you're operating at a low frequency. And so you're likely feeling very tired all the time because you're unfulfilled. The same as if you're overworking yourself, you're likely also going to be overtired. Another huge one is feeling random aches and pains and things in your body. Because if we're underdoing things and we're just at a state of bleh, we're actually operating out of our sympathetic nervous system, which is our overdrive. It is our stress responses. They are activated. And when that happens, our body doesn't have time to rest and digest and feel good. And so it kind of communicates with us through having a headache, having digestive issues, having back pain, having random aches and pains through our body. And it's the same when we're in overdrive. We are also operating out of a state of, again, hypervigilance, out of our window of tolerance in that sympathetic nervous system. So again, we're likely going to feel that. I can feel it in my neck lately, big time. It's been brutal. So thank the Lord for my Shakti mat. If you don't have a Shakti mat, not a sponsor, 10 out of 10 recommend checking it out. It has honestly saved my migraines and my back pain. But anyways, nonetheless, another one is feeling cranky. How many of us at a phase of our life when we're unfulfilled are just snappy, right? We're just like, we're so low in frequency and so upset and mad at the world and mad at ourselves that we're just cranky. And the opposite happens again when we're overdoing it and we're not giving those parts of us that want to have funsies. I call it funsies because it's fun to say. That part of us is like, hey, we need to have fun too. There's that little Jessie in me right now going, Jessie, you really need to go to that fire today, and you need to talk to family, and you need to just, let go for just a couple hours, and then you can come right back and get at it again tomorrow. But there's a part of me that's like, please let me have that. And so if I weren't gonna do that, I'd likely be very cranky because I'm not tending to a part of me that's communicating with me. Losing touch with self is kind of my last one on here that they have in common, is both sides tend to lead to you losing touch with yourself. Because if we are not in a state of flow, in a state of, in our body, in a state of feeling fulfilled, we are likely going to lose touch with ourselves. And I think that that's the pressure that I've been feeling lately is, yes, I love everything that I do and I'm so passionate and I'm so grateful, like so beyond freaking grateful. But there's a part of me that's lost touch with myself because, again, we have parts of ourselves, IFS, which is internal family systems. We have parts of us that like to drive at different times. If you've seen the movie Inside Out, you know that there's basically a control panel in the little girl's brain where she has joy, she has anger, she has sadness, she has disgust. I think there's 5 of them. I'm probably missing one, but there's different parts of her driving. And when it's our only one part of ourselves driving, whether it's our underachiever, aka the part of us that just wants to watch movies and eat crappy food, or our overachiever part of us that just wants to work all the time, there's always going to be a part of us that's like, hey, can you tend to me now? Can you give me validation? Can you acknowledge me? I am here. And it will just keep knocking at our door until we open it, let it in, and acknowledge it. So, my friends, I encourage you right now to ask yourself, where do you think you're at with this? And this does not work unless you get fully honest with yourself. Because a lot of you sitting there are probably like, I'm probably underdoing it, but I don't really have energy to do anything else. I don't have the time to do anything else. But I always have to go back to that and say, I think those are really just excuses, because if you have time to just sit on the couch at the end of the day, you have time to go after something. And again, it's about finding that sweet spot. I'm not saying every waking minute of every day you need to be doing something or else, but I'm saying, are you spending way too much time just once you clock out of work? Are you just on vacation mode basically until it's time to wake up again the next morning? How is it that you're stretching yourself? How are you growing yourself? Because my goal of my podcast is personal development from a trauma-informed mental health lens. But I also know that I remember this one client I can think of so clearly. And I worked with this client for almost 2 years, once a week, sometimes twice a week. And he would just stay in this same cycle of catastrophizing, of everything would go wrong. And I can't do anything because this, that, and the other thing. And I know it's a trauma response and it's a protective response. But after a while, I had to say, hey, it's time that we kind of start to get out of your comfort zone, because if you don't, you never will. And you will keep reiterating the same narrative. You will keep saying the same story to yourself and you will stay stuck here. We have to be willing to recognize and be honest with ourselves of, okay, have I gotten too comfortable? Have I gotten too okay with going with the flow? Have I gotten too okay with following everybody else? Is it time that I just try one thing and see what happens? Because that's the thing, is we just have to try something new. Ask your higher self, ask your intuition, what is that thing? And pay attention. That is the biggest thing. We often wait for these things to fall into our lap, but that's not how it works. We have to be willing to take action, pay attention, get results, and notice what happens and try again. We have to be willing to start though. And so, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you know that this all comes from a place of love, but I also know that either one of those states is not a healthy place to be in. If we're underdoing it, meaning that we're barely doing anything to bring ourselves fulfillment, for bring ourselves anything extra, get out of our comfort zone, stretch ourselves, we will be unfulfilled. But also for way too much overdoing it and we are burning ourselves out and we are crashing down, we will be no good to anybody. So we have to be willing to find that balance in a way, and it's always going to be kind of miscued, and again, hitting those guardrails, getting new awareness and trying again. But the biggest thing that we can do is bring awareness to it and notice that it's happening and not bring shame to it. Sit with it, know where you're at, and know that you're the only one that can take control and change the narrative to change your life. So thank you guys so much as always for tuning into this week's episodes of Rewire to Inspire. If you're looking to connect, you can find my link in the description below to book a free 30-minute call with me. You can find me on Instagram at Jessie Brown 13. I would absolutely love to connect with you. I would love to chat, hear your story, and see how we can help you begin the next phase of your life. So thank you guys so much. All the love. I look forward to chatting with you all next week. Bye, you guys. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's episode of Rewire to Inspire. I absolutely love connecting with you all, so make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am at Jessie Brown 13. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave a review or share with someone you think would enjoy. I look forward to chatting with you all next episode. And remember, get out of your head and into your heart.